called Grunt, the wrestling movie, and he booked me along with several other guys, Wildman Jack Armstrong and Dick Murdoch. There's a lot of guys in this movie in this wrestling movie from like 1986, and I started acting in some movies then, and then I was in. Roddy Piper had Body Slam around that time, and me and my partner Tim Patterson wrestled the Tonga Kid and Piper in that movie, and I did a couple other movies, just little bit parts, and then in 1990, the WWF, actually I was working as a ring announcer for them at the Los Angeles Sports Arena. They wanted to film a TV show there called Tag Team with Jesse Ventura and Roddy Piper, and I was the scheduled ring announcer for the show. They asked me if I would ring announce on the TV show, and they'd pay me separately, and I'd actually get my Screen Actors Guild card, and I agreed to it, of course, only a fool wouldn't, because I made 5 times the normal amount of money that night, plus I was into the guild, so that was like you can't lose. And coincidentally, just a couple weeks after that, Gene LaBelle, one of the all-time great stunt guys and judo and wrestling champions of all time, Gene calls me and said, hey, if you got your SAG card, I got a movie called Alligator 2, The Mutation I can use you in, doing stunt work. So I went and did that movie and, made $1,500 for about 10 minutes work. Had fun hanging out with Chavo Guerrero was in that, Alexis Smirnoff, Professor Toro Tanaka, Count Billy Varga, Gene, Jack Armstrong. It was just like all my buddies. It was like being at a reunion and getting paid for it. Right. So I did that, and I worked in a few other movies. One called Tiger Mask. I was in the Ed Wood movie with Johnny Depp, and again, Gene LaBelle got me that part. Gene and Red Bastien have been my 2 best friends for years and years, and they got me just about all of my work in Hollywood. Which was I was really blessed. Got to meet a lot of nice people and work in a lot of things like that.
Would you say he won what movie won an Oscar there, Kenai?
Ed Wood.
Ed Wood won an Oscar?
Yeah. Well, Martin Landau won a Best Supporting for Best. He won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor
for the movie.
In that movie, 95, I think we did that, or 96, 95 or 96. And that was tremendous. I mean, that was a lot of fun. And I was a referee in that movie, and Gene LaBelle played the ring announcer. I tried out. Gene had me come down and audition for the ring announcer's part, and which is really what felt like I was really good at. And I didn't get it. Gene felt so bad. He says, you know what? They don't have the referee's part. They don't have a guy for that position yet. He says, you know what? I'm just going to give it to you. So he gave it to me because he felt sorry for me, and I had fun doing that, and it was great, on the set with Bill Murray, Sarah Jessica Parker, Johnny Depp, so many great actors, and it was just we filmed that at the Olympic Auditorium, the home of a lot of my greatest matches and a building I had just so much respect for through history, working for Mike LaBelle there in the 80s. And I went to one of my very first wrestling shows ever there in 1971 and saw Dory Funk Jr. defend the NWA belt against Peter Maivia there. So I did a lot of stuff out of the Olympic, and I won a version of the world title out of the Olympic for a Mexican group called the World Wrestling Association with Benjamin Mora was the promoter. I beat Tinieblas there and won the world title, and John Tolis, the Golden Greek, was my referee. Yeah. So I have a lot of history in that building, and that was in '86, I think. So the building was just very, very good to me, and I love working anything out of that building.
We're on the line with Bill Anderson, legendary professional wrestling trainer and also stuntman for numerous movies, as we've just heard just now. More with Bill Anderson on the other side. Check us out on the net at OWWFan.com.
Obsessed with wrestling.
OWW Radio on OWWFan.com. It's Nick Anthony and Kenai Andrews, and joining us is Bill Anderson. What can you tell us about the Warrior? I believe he's over at some French promotion right now.
Well, Jim Hellwig is a strange character. I haven't talked to Jim in, I guess it's been about 7 years. 7 or 8 years ago was the last time I talked to him, and he called me one day. I was living in Riverside, California, and he called me. He was living here in Scottsdale, and he wanted to open up a wrestling school, and he wanted advice on how to do it. And you know, God have mercy if Jim's going to be training people. I mean, I hate to say it because I was responsible for breaking him into the business, but him and Sting and those guys, they worked hard, and they learned a lot of holds. How they practiced them once they left me was a whole other story. Jim, just a lot of people, so they understand, Jim Hellwig knew how to wrestle. He knows how to wrestle a lot better than he ever did. Vince McMahon ruined him by creating that Ultimate Warrior gimmick for him because he told him, all you got to do is throw clotheslines and run and sprint to the ring, throw clotheslines, and that's your repertoire right there. You don't need, drop kicks. You don't need headlock takedowns. You don't need top wrist locks and all the holds that you're taught in school. You don't need to do all that.
Is it a case of you use it?
And he didn't. Believe me, everyone knows the history. He didn't have to, and he didn't do it.
Didn't he legally change his name? It's not Jim anymore. I think it's
Ultimate. No, I guess it's. I heard it was Warrior or something. I don't know. I can't even believe it. The guy, I guess, is maybe missing a few screws. I don't know. I really I haven't talked to him in years. Now, Sting's another matter. I have seen him or talked to him several times over the last few years at some Christian events I'm a part of out here in Phoenix. Steve Borden will come in for those. Steve is pretty down to earth, and Steve did actually a testimony I was a part of over at a church called Angelus Temple in Los Angeles, and back around probably about 5 years ago, I guess. And I was there along with Mondo Guerrero in attendance, and Sting in his testimony, he was saying that without Bill Anderson, there never would have been a Sting. It never would have been created like that, So it's just things like that mean a lot to me when guys will say that, especially since I just saw Mick Foley on TV the other day from an interview saying, without Sting, there might not have ever been a Cactus Jack.
Wow.
So I thought, hey, that's kind of an interesting, It's a Wonderful Life thing. So without Bill Anderson, there would have been no Sting. Without Sting, there was no Cactus Jack, according to Mick Foley. So, I guess you just never know how you touch people along the way. And I always just try to be a friend and try to give common sense advice. And I live my life by the golden rule of do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And that's all I've ever tried to do is just be a friend to people and treat them nice and have a laugh. Laughing's a lot more fun than crying.
That's for sure.
Do you watch a lot of the product today? You still watch it?
I try to stay up on it. I record about everything, whether I get to it or not. Sometimes I end up deleting some of it before I watch it, or I'll just fast forward through a lot of it. I try to stay up on a lot of it because some of my guys that I trained are involved in a lot of this. Rocky Romero, one of my guys working for AAA promotion now, just left the EMLL or CMLL promotion. He's working for AAA, and I like to stay up on his happenings. And eventually Frankie Kazarian will be back with TNA in a few more months, and I guess he's out injured right now. And I, of course, watch Sting, and other guys are friends of mine, old friends. Mike Tenay is a very old, dear friend of mine. And I've got a lot of buddies in a lot of places. Chris Jericho I've known for 18 years, and Mick Foley is an old friend. I've known him for 18 years also. And so it's like I like to see my friends and see what they're up to. I don't know all the modern guys. I've shaken hands one time with Batista or Triple H. And that was only because I went to a show with Billy Graham one time, and he introduced me to Triple H, Batista, and a couple other guys.